The reason why it's different is because we're going after Facebook based on its own words and its own promises. It's a platform that was, ever since 2016, when the Gizmodo article came out and said, oh, we're suppressing the feed, we're taking certain views, and we're going to suppress them in the trending and news topics. We don't do that anymore. That's what Facebook said. We don't do it. They told Congress we don't do it. They told consumers we don't do it. They told us that they don't do it. But over the course of the years, we've realized they actually are doing it. And we've seen it from the election string that was cut off from various posts.
My question to you, Ryan, is just like Steve Crowder said that they're doing more than body politicians are. I like to point as to one person as Ted Cruz as being somebody who's very vocally against tech censorship and a lot of stuff you can see on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. But the question that most people ask, and that I've asked, is why do they control the branches? Are they getting stalemated by let's call them Rhino Republicans or Republican people who believe that this is part of the problem that we have, or do they just want to using half-life and lawsuits that now actually hold these governments down?
Yeah, so Ted Cruz has been a great proponent along with Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri, in addition to Facebook. I think, yeah, for the first 2 years of the presidency, we controlled the Senate and House, and nothing was done about it. And this last year, we had the Senate hearings where big tech executives were questioned, but I was asked, well, you keep on having these hearings and asking questions, and nothing happens. In July of last year, I helped with a criminal referral against Mark Zuckerberg for like 2018, that they do. And so, in another hearing last year, James Sensenbrenner is a congressman from, I believe, Wisconsin, and he was talking about how, well, you can punish companies that are successful. Right? Being successful is one thing, but it's not really destroying companies is another thing. Then that brings into question the issue of Parler. Parler was just the Amazon AWS servers were removed off the internet. But yeah, this lawsuit is good because it's based on basically the antitrust practices and the antitrust number. We know also in December, 48 states filed a lawsuit against Facebook antitrust lawsuit. So antitrust might be I'm harmed by these various lawsuits.
Yeah, I thought we were too. The same way. I was always sort of Facebook gave up his name as a platform. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is there's a war lawsuit that GM Facebook, which I believe, I don't know the state, it was one of the Russian publications, the RT or Sputnik's article that said that basically Facebook in a lawsuit that they are published before they can delete the one. But it sounds to me when I'm hearing that wrong, but that's what I see with that. Another lawsuit that I want to talk about, these are all coming at a good time, let's say. Candace Owens started a lawsuit because the theory of fact checkers that flag articles that people taking up profiles of communities like that nature of all things that achieve it. She's not doing that right now. Reaction to another lawsuit against Facebook's fact checking.
In 2016, hysterical liberals had to find someone to blame for their humiliating loss to Donald Trump. Their mind they could not possibly have lost either way, horrendous candidates or policies, or their own fake message, to the attack them thinking they could now have control over social media rules. They applied extreme pressure to silence or censor fake news, which is a fancy way of saying news that we don't like. Facebook went to that pressure and created a fact-checking network of online millions. Here's how Facebook fact-checking works. A website you would never heard of, run by partisan data leftists, stalk pages by your favorite conservative personalities. When they say anything they disagree with, these fact-checkers write vicious partisan hits, but they process their opinions by stopping activists from reading them on the political standard. Many times, those people say the same context or dispute it. Yes, thanks Facebook, every political argument in our business model, every argument is indeed in some context.
Right now, because it's a lot easier to achieve, but how after what you're saying, take a point of where Facebook decided to be
I didn't want to go to school. I was really tired. I was limping. Like in grade 3, I had a hard time walking. And he told me, never use your illness as an excuse.
Hello and welcome to Trigonometry. I'm Francis Foster.
I'm Constantine Kitson.
And this is a show for you if you want honest conversations with fascinating people.
Our fantastic guest today is podcast host Michaela Peterson. Welcome to Trigonometry.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's so good to have you. Just as we were setting up the interview, we were talking about how excited we are to talk to you because Francis and I both did a little bit of research as we sometimes do on you. And your life story is just, you've had so many difficulties that you've had to deal with in your life. We just first of all wanted to talk to you about that. And just when you go from having a lot of health issues as a kid and mental health issues, then your dad becomes a super solid. There's a whole, then he's a Nazi, then there's this whole thing, right? All sorts of things. And last year you've had to look after him. There's been a ton of stuff going on. And it's incredible how well put together you are in spite of all these difficulties. So we were just, we talk about ideas on trigonometry more than anything, but I think mindset is a big thing that we also want to talk about. And you are an example of a lot of resilience. How has your life been? And just talk to us about all of that.
How well put together I appear.
Yeah. Talk to to us about how well put together you appear. Go for it.
So, to give people a brief background about the health issues I went through and just kind of what's happened, I'm 29 now. When I was 7, I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and it was everywhere except for my spine. So at that point, I had 32 joints affected. When I was 12, I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2, mainly really severe depression. When I was 21, I was diagnosed with idiopathic hypersomnia, which is basically narcolepsy. It's just we're not sure why, but you're sleeping all the time. I had rashes, and I was getting sicker and sicker. When I was 17, I had my hip and ankle replaced from the arthritis that wasn't kept under control with the immune suppressants I was injecting myself with since I was 8. So I didn't, as a kid, I guess, if you're sick, it's because you don't know a lot of other kids, it's hard to tell what the difference between your life and somebody else's is. I had my brother to compare myself to, and I was like, well, why me? Why is that me and not him? Because he's perfect example of health. I was like, how's that fair? And then when I was 23 and I kept getting sicker and sicker, and I was on more and more medication, and my skin stopped healing, I thought, okay, I have to figure this out, or it's going to kill me. And I have second cousins and a lot of autoimmune problems on my dad's side. And some of those people were really sick. I had a second cousin who passed away when she was 30 from a skin autoimmune disorder or something. They're not entirely sure, but she had symptoms that were similar to mine, but she didn't have arthritis. So I thought, okay, I have to figure this out. So I never really thought about myself as resilient because I thought, what other option do I have? I'm just gonna, you either learn and survive or you're gonna die. That's kind of how I thought about it. I'm also kind of prone to volatility and anger, which is, I think, part of actually what helped me get through the sicknesses. Instead of wilting away, I got angry. So if we want to talk about resiliency a little bit, I guess, and mindset and how to get through, that was just the health aspect, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll rewind a little bit. So I started to get healthy because I went on this insane diet adventure, and I kind of got raked over the coals in the media for that. I went super, super low carb, which is more, at least you hear about it now, and that helped a lot of my autoimmune symptoms. And then I ended up on an all-meat diet, not because I wanted to be controversial or only eat meat, because it's actually not fun, but because the alternative was having an autoimmune disorder and mood disorder. And then at the same time, my dad went on the diet. He lost a bunch of weight because he had autoimmune problems and really severe depression. He started feeling better, and at the same time, he got famous, and there was all that controversy, which was incredibly stressful. I think even just a positive experience with fame is incredibly stressful. But my dad's experience was, a lot of it was negative. We figured out that a lot of media sources were lying about him, right? And so you can't really tell what they're lying about, but when a story comes out about your dad, about things he said that he didn't say, it's pretty, that you go, well, I'm possible, because everything I read from him about other people like that. So I dealt with that. I had a baby some of these things, it seems I kind of brought it to myself. I had a baby when I was 24 in a fairly new relationship with, I guess, my husband, but it was incredibly stressful at the time. And then in the last couple of years, my family's gotten incredibly sick. So it was like as soon as I got healthy in this insane way that nobody believed, that the media made fun of, my mom got this deadly kidney cancer, and she almost died, but she made it, which wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And then my dad had an issue, you could say, with anti-anxiety medication. So it turns out if you suddenly kind of stop taking SSRIs, people don't know about this, but if you suddenly stop taking SSRIs, you can get SSRI withdrawal. And you're not really told that there's SSRI withdrawal when you go on SSRIs. People know about opiate withdrawal, they know about benzodiazepine withdrawal, but they don't really they know there's SSRI listed. So part of the neurological problems Dad and I both had that drove us towards this low carb diet were from SSRI withdrawal, which he ended up treating with benzodiazepines. Turns out that's not a good idea. And he ended up with a side effect called akathisia. Akathisia is the worst thing I've ever seen, and I've seen some pretty gnarly things. Having a hip and ankle replacement isn't great. But akathisia is a movement disorder, and it's a side effect of some psychopaths that people don't really know about. So then we dealt with that for 2 years. And it looks as if things are kind of on the upswing now. So, like, Mom had her near-death thing, Dad had his, I had mine for a really long time. Although it was kind of slow and drawn out, and I wouldn't say it was as dramatic as Mom and Dad's, but we're hoping that there's a bit of a pause. But I think I got through it by using anger. So instead of being like, this is going to flatten me, it was really... whenever I got that feeling like, oh, I can't handle this. Like, how's this happening? This is too much. I'm in too much pain. This is too hard. I can't handle this. Whenever I had that I can't handle this pop into my head, then I'd have this surge of anger where it was like, no, fuck you. This is not what takes me out. Like, I don't know who I was swearing at, but reality. It's just like, this is not the direction my reality is going to continue in. And then I'd kind of wrangle it back under control and try and push it in a different direction. And I'm writing a memoir at the tender age of 29, just about going through the autoimmune disorder that happened with my dad and my mom. And it was just a bunch of random things that happened to me. And I realized last week that the kind of underlying theme was maybe resiliency and how to stay alive if you get hit over and over and over again. And I think, especially nowadays, even just experiencing lockdowns that people are, it's really hard. And you can be, you can be in a pretty good place and in a lockdown, and your life can still kind of suck. But if you're in a bad place and then you put lockdown on top of that, people need to find how to become resilient, I guess, within them nowadays, or they're not going to make it.
And Michaela, you use the word resiliency, but what does that mean to you? Because a number of times we use these words and they mean different things to different people.
To me, it means if you get hit, it makes you stronger. So it's not just limping around, it's if you get hurt, you can turn that into something that makes you stronger.
One of the things I've been thinking about is if nothing bad ever happened in your life again, you would still be like, I've had my fair share of challenges, right? Like, that's how I feel just knowing some of the things that we've been dealing with. And it struck me that's kind of like a big theme in your dad's work as well, this idea that life is unfair and you have to learn to deal with it.
survive.
And it's a really, really good point. I mean, it becomes even more tricky when you factor in depression, when your own mind is ill. I mean,
Yes.
what can you... I mean, that is surely the ultimate, isn't it? Trying to overcome something when your own mind is conspiring against you.
Yeah. So I have a few comments on that too. I had bipolar type 2, but my main symptom was this severe depression. And when people asked what that was like, it was like a really heavy version of when you're in a bad area and you're walking down an alley and you think you're gonna get jumped, but you have that for a long time. So it's like constant jumpiness, and that's what is way worse than that. It was like tired all the time, like everything was happening to me, except just one else. I was at the time when I was depressed, I used to be like, oh, it's kind of like your dog died, and you go to a party, but your dog just died, so I was having a good time, and then my dog died, and it was like that was really as bad as this depression. So, unless it's situational, I think that a lot of that would be handled by aggressive mental diets, so less carbs, and people underestimate how much I do it's like my depression's way worse than if you go look at it, if your situation is depressed because you're simply hiding, then you have to just try to these people just don't know happening, but they will happen. You have to keep that in mind. Like, this is hard, especially when people there's gonna be a way out. So just wait it out. And a lot of getting through tough things is waiting, unfortunately.
That's a really good point. I mean, we talk to some of our fans every month, and the one we did just a couple of days ago, it was, people are really struggling with these lockdowns, and I think, as you say, that sense of knowing that this too shall pass can be very helpful for very bad times like now, but also actually for very good times. Sometimes you're too high on the immediate success, and you also want to take a more measured approach to it, I guess is what I'm saying. One of the things I'm hearing, Michele, in a lot of what you're saying, you're talking about anger and you're talking about finding solutions, right? And that takes us very neatly into something we talk about on the show a lot, which is the culture war. How do you, as someone who's been through all of that and has found that the best solution for your issues was to get into action, to do something? How do you feel about what I would describe as people being taught to be victims, being taught to have the exact opposite approach, to make their problem someone else's fault, that they just can be sad about instead of actually taking action? What do you make of all of that?
Yeah, I think that could be deadly. Like, I think that ruins lives. Like, I was lucky enough to have my father as a father, and when I was diagnosed with arthritis, and I was diagnosed when I was 7, so I was in grade 2, and I was really sick. I didn't want to go to school. I was really tired. I was limping. Like, in grade 3, I had a hard time walking, and he told me, never use your illness as an excuse. And I had all the excuses because I had arthritis everywhere and I was pretty miserable and in pain. But he said, like, err on the side of not using it as an excuse. And I think I I think erring on the side of not using it as an excuse at all is safer, even though that's not exactly fair. Right? There were times when I probably could have stayed in bed. But it doesn't help people, and people are taught right now something unfair happens to them, and it is unfair, and unfair things happen to everybody. And some people, they hit a lot worse, especially people who are sick, right? But telling them, so that there's a number of problems. One, telling them that it's someone else's fault means they can't do anything about it. So it takes all the power away from them. One of the issues I had with, I've got issues with a lot of things, but I have issues with the medical system and how they treat chronically ill people, because they say, this is a disease and you're going to have it forever. And it takes any hope of getting better away, because they say that's not possible. So you don't even look. People don't even look. They go, this is just what it is. I have to live with it. And I think even in that respect, it would be more helpful if you were kind of told, oh yeah, you're really sick and we can't help you, so you're going to have to figure it out. And if people were told that for these other things that they say are unfair, like if you're not born a white person, if you're female, if you're transgender, whatever, it would probably be better to say, you might have a harder time in some aspects, but you're going to have to figure out what to do about it. Not, this is the patriarchy's fault and you're screwed. Like when I took sciences at university, and this was before things got really weird in universities, but every 2 months I'd have somebody, and it wasn't a science student, it was somebody from some student group come in and they'd go, we know all the women in this class worked really hard to get here. And it was just like, that is so condescending. Like taking away, yeah, I studied hard, as did everybody else, but being like, I know it was extra hard for you. It's just like, screw off with your fake, I don't even know what that is, fake empathy. But I think the victim mentality that people are being told is the right way to live life is really dangerous, and I think it'll end up making people, like harming people, because they won't be able to escape it. They'll just be stuck in this victim box forever.
Do you have a website? Or do you plan to have a website? Well, if you do, then Easy DNS have a company for you.
Easy DNS is the perfect domain name registrar provider and web host for you.
They have a track record of standing up for their clients, whether it be cancel culture, deplatform attacks, or overzealous government agencies. He knows a bit about that.
So will you, sir. Easy DNS have rock solid network infrastructure and incredible customer support.
They're in your corner no matter what the world throws at you, unless it's real stuff, in which case you're on your own.
Move your domains and websites over to EasyDNS right now. All you've got to do is head over to easydns.com/triggered and use our promo code, which is of course triggered as well, and you will get 50% off the initial purchase.
Sign up for their newsletter, Access Easy, that tells you everything you need to know about technology, privacy, and censorship. What do you think we're being told though? Why do you think we're being encouraged to believe that narrative?
I don't have any great conspiracy theories or anything. I don't know if it's coming from the top. I think it's just easier. Like, if you get sick, lying around in bed is easier than continuing to go about life pretending nothing's wrong. So I think it's an easy sell, and it's easy for groups of people to feel sorry about themselves together. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think there's a reason you're being sold this?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think also people crave a tribe, don't they? We all want to be part of a group.
Yeah.
And if you put all those things together, and here's a tribe, we can all be victims together, we can all be oppressed together, we can make that the thing that we talk about, the thing that we quote unquote resist, or whatever it is. I think people really want that belonging, don't they?
And I also think we provide simple solutions to complex problems.
Yeah. See, that's where I'd go. I'd say it's just as easier. It's something like I originally saw this because I was sick. There was a lot of catering to being sick, and you see that too with the fat acceptance movement. I can see where it came from, but accepting being sick is really not good. You shouldn't make the norm, or everybody will be sick and there'll be no reason for them to get better. They're just like, this is normal. It's dangerous.
But we also glorify being sick now, don't we? If you see it, you see it in people's bios, BPD, depressive. It's become an identity badge.
Yeah, it's weird because, okay, so I remember in maybe like 2004 or something around then, there was this big push for anxiety and depression mainly, and they're saying, these are real things people are suffering from. It's not just situational, like this is a disease. And I think that was important because it is a disease and it's not just people feeling sorry for themselves, right? There's different types of depression, but the inflammatory depression, that's a serious disease. And then it just went sideways. I can understand, again, with the fat acceptance movement, a lot of these people who have tried to lose weight a whole bunch of different ways. And I've known people who are, 350 pounds and run all the time, and they're still 300 pounds. And so they go, well, I've tried exercise. Partly it's just people aren't educated on being healthy. And I think the same thing happened with, I have bipolar and now it's in my bio, is they honestly don't know what to do about it. And so they're saying, well, that's who I am. Don't bug me about it because I can't change it. That's my opinion. I think part of the problem is people don't know how to deal with it, and that goes back to the issues that have with the medical system. You have to for life through some medication.
Yeah, because it does seem that very much that people medication. A lot of them, like relatives who are very very close to me, just are medicated for their entire lives. But you really believe that with diet that you can overcome it.
To get them better. So I was brought to every holistic practitioner that my mom could find. My dad was like, that's bullshit. But my mom was like, no, we'll try everything. Like muscle testing, like everything. And so I grew up and what I saw was my mom spending hordes of money. And we didn't have any money at that time. Like we weren't buying magazines or anything. We had like not enough money. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so I thought, these are like quacks taking advantage of sick people and charging them money because they're desperate. And this is so wrong. And it made me really angry. And that drove me away from the more natural route. Plus, the medical system was saying, this is uncontrollable. And we're the scientists here. Just approximately 30 years to get implemented into hospitals. So if the people in the hospitals are saying they're scientists, they're also not. Leaky gut is an actual thing. And that's because of the diets people have nowadays, which are highly processed, high sugar. It does cause a level of gut damage. And when you get gut damage, foods you're eating can escape into blood. And then that can provoke an immune response. Because your body's like, what the hell is, a large protein grain doing in here? And in certain susceptible people, this can provoke an immune response. So they found out that proteins called lectins, which are in grains, carbohydrates, and your body sees one of these lectins that is able to good, and then provokes an immune response, which is a totally reasonable response. But lectins also provoke joint tissue, so it can miscommunicate and using soy sauce, so you have to avoid really some Twizzlers. Gluten is in a lot of places, but that that can help. And generally, if you do it for 6 weeks, this is what I tell people to do. So go gluten free for 6 weeks. It's pretty easy nowadays because they make gluten free food.
It's an interesting point you make. I mean, I think at this stage of scientific knowledge to suggest that diet has nothing to do with your health is absurd. It's obvious. You just have to look at your own life.
People just like how these certain types of food taste. And I find that the foods that taste the best, other than steak, but the foods that taste the best probably are the ones that aren't as good for you. Like when I started cutting things out, it was my favorite foods that were making me sick. I used to drink a whole glass of milk when I was a kid before I went to bed at night. And dairy was hugely inflammatory for my arthritis. I had sugar and cinnamon on toast, which is clearly not a health food, but it's absolutely wonderful. And I had bread at every meal, and that was one of the biggest ones. So cheese and bread, and I put soy sauce on everything. And it was cheese and bread and soy that were the ones that were the most inflammatory, and they were the ones that made me go like, when I eat them.
How sad was it to say goodbye to them? I'm telling you, I would be in tears.
I cried. Okay, so when I'm not even kidding. I cut everything out, and I was like, I don't know if this will really make a difference, but if I'm doing kind of a rigorous study of why I'm so sick, I have to rule out diet, at least. So I did a month-long kind of test where I got really low carbs, meat and greens, soup, sweet potatoes and parsnips. It was really low carb, and I felt a lot better within the first month, abnormally better. And then I reintroduced Sour Patch Kids because I was like, they don't have any gluten and soy and dairy. That didn't go particularly well. And then I reintroduced cheese because it was one of the things I missed. And I had such a horrible reaction to cheese that, I cried I cried afterwards, and I was like, I can't. It makes me too sick. And I cried. So it's really hard, and people get really intense cravings when they stop certain foods. So it's no wonder. Plus, people get pissy when you're like, hey, that disease you have is perhaps treatable. And a lot of people, when they're talking about diet, present it in a way as if the person they're talking to has done something wrong. Like, that's how it was always presented to me. Well, why don't you eat healthier? And I was like, what the hell? You think whether or not I eat healthy has to do with me having my joints replaced? You asshole. Plus, I was eating rice and chicken and broccoli and milk. Like, I wasn't eating terribly. And so it depends how it's presented. You can't be like, eat healthier and you're just, lazy. That's why you're sick. That's not going to go well.
Yeah. Well, you're losing Francis rapidly. He can just see himself crying at the point of cutting out anything to do with carbs.
It goes
And
away.
to do with chips or fries, as you would say.
Sweet potatoes fries would be better. But the cravings...
Fries are good. This is the conversion of Francis live on air here. This is what's happening here.
You have to be suffering pretty hard to start dropping foods. Or you have to be one of those freaks that exercises all the time and just chooses to do it. But I don't identify with those people.
No, I've met some of them and I've avoided them on principle ever since.
Can you get a lot of shit from vegans, Michaela?
You know what? No.